Serious actors in America are challenged to become what is called a triple threat. The idea is that an actor will have a much better chance of getting parts and earning a living if they're able to act, and sing, and dance at a professional level. And no one would know it from my dancing, but as a serious actor, I took a number of dance classes, and I have spent many hours rehearsing and performing dances on stage. And the reason people would not know about my dance training is, well, none of it really took. And the main reason is that apparently I was not born to dance in any coordinated fashion. And I know that I said that I have actually danced on stage in musicals. I probably should have put dance in air quotes because, see, while the vast majority of my body parts tried their best, only my hands learned to dance. And even then, they only learned to do above average jazz hands. See? And my theory is that those above average jazz hands distracted folks from the below average dancing that the rest of me was doing, and I got away with it in performances. And none of that made me a triple threat, but I like to think it made me a double and a slight bit of a threat as an actor, which, as you might suspect from the actual paying professions I have had, did not help me get much professional acting work. The parts of my body as a whole were not made for dancing at a professional level. And I've been able in my day to do other things like run and swim, but now even those things I do about as well as I dance. And it's rather humbling to be at this stage of life where about all I have left are jazz hands. And of course, my good looks. And that's not really true, not the good looks part. All I have left are jazz hands part. My entire physical body has been and is needed in order for me to do all that I have done in life. Generally speaking, there's not a part of it that I do not want to do without. There's not a part I don't care equally about. And even though barely any of me can dance, all of me has served to get me to this day, and I hope will serve to get me through all the rest of the days of my life. And Paul's famous metaphor for the body of Christ in our lesson today is trying to make a similar point with respect to the church. The church is a body of people who have parts that sometimes bring something akin to jazz hands when the rest of the parts can't dance. But overall, those hands are no more important to the body. Indeed, even when dancing, jazz hands could not even do their dance part well if the other parts in the body did not exist or cooperate to get up on stage with them and try their best. Church is a body of people. It's not a body of people who are all perfect at everything they try to do together. Rather, it is a body of people who are perfectly brought together by God to do God's work in the world as best they can with whatever gifts they have, while supporting and cooperating with one another. And some of us are capable at something, some of us are capable at other things, but no matter what, in the body of Christ, all of us matter equally. And many folks before Paul used a body metaphor for groups, and many use it still. The usual spin for the metaphor is to assert some parts are better than the others. The brain or the heart are more valuable than parts that do good, like jazz, or parts that do good like jazz hands are more important. And Paul applies the body of people metaphor to Jesus' followers, to church. But he flips it so no member is considered better, which is just how real living body parts are considered by most humans. Paul's lesson understanding is that church is not a voluntary group of autonomous individuals ranked according to value by inside or outside sources. In church, we are ranked instead by our value to God, which is always equal and always great. Now, Paul gave the body of people image that had been around a while, a revolutionary new twist. Previously, the comparison had reinforced hierarchy, suggesting that the lowly workers, the drones, should obey and support their leaders. And even today, our culture calls business leaders the head or the heart of the company and considers them worth more than other employees and compensates them accordingly. The brain and the heart of organizations tend to be valued more than those doing the legwork, or the footwork, or the handiwork. In the secular world, we still apply the older body metaphor of hierarchy. And Paul switched it around. We're supposed to use his model in the church, not the secular model. Now, feasting on the word commentary on the text today has this wonderful observation. Paul inverts the force of the metaphor. Rather than arguing for hierarchy and subordination, Paul uses the figure of the body to advance rationale for diversity and interdependence with a strongly egalitarian thrust. According to Paul's analogy, the assertion of superiority is ridiculous, for it implicitly reduces the church to one body part and one function. In reality, however, privileged congregants are so intimately bound to their lower status brothers and sisters in one body that the entire notion of status is subverted. Higher status Christians need lower status Christians, and vice versa. And then the commentary goes on to note that the force of Paul's analogy points to the equally essential nature of all functions. And consequently, the church should not just tolerate the plurality of capacities and experiences, but should actively cultivate a spirit-breathed synergy. A radical interdependence requires radical diversity of gifts, all necessary for the common good. The differences in gifts should not become the foundation for hurtful comparisons. Feasting on the word. And Paul, as we heard Gene so well read, uses this ridiculously fun image to make his point. Images that I think are more humorous than jazz hands. First, he suggests a talking foot, denying it's a part of the body because it's not a hand. And then a talking ear denies it is a part of the body because it's not an eye. And if that's not funny enough, Paul continues to grow the humor further along, having the whole body be just an eye. And asks, where would the hearing be in such a case? Noting too that if it was all about hearing, how would we sense smell? And driving home this point, Paul then asks, if all were a single member, where would the body be? A giant, living eye or ear may be a funny image, but neither is a human body. And Paul ends his comedy stating the obvious, that an eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, nor can the head tell the feet, I have no need of you. And Paul means that both in reality and in the metaphor that applies, bodies do not operate at all as a single member. As Paul puts it, if all were a single member, where would the body be? As it is, there are many members, yet one body. Americans tend to read the Bible without humor, but there is a lot in it. And Paul, who we tend to particularly think is not funny, has humor in our reading that I think is top of the line. And yet there's a very careful and clever lesson in it, also top of the line. All parts of the church are needed. Just as each of our human body parts are essential, each of the parts of the church, the body of Christ on earth now are essential. And Paul, turning serious, points out that God set it up so the body parts get the same care for one another, and that if one member suffers, all suffer together with it. If one member is honored, all rejoice together with it. And Paul intends for us to hear that what is applicable to the members of our human bodies is applicable to the members of the body of Christ. Just as no healthy human says, I care less about this or that body member, so healthy church ought not to say, I care less about this or that church member. Now, focusing on the word has this other wonderful observation about the lectionary lesson. Quote, the playful charm of the passage makes it one of the most memorable of Paul's teachings. Yet underneath the amusing imagery of talking feet and self-depreciating ears is the profound statement of unity that is the essence of the church. Now you are the body of Christ, and individually members of it in God. We come to Christianity as individuals. We may even have been told or heard that we come to it primarily to save our individual soul for a good existence in a distant afterlife by buying into a set of beliefs or dogma. But that is not the Christianity Paul and Jesus taught. Jesus' way has never been about self alone, primarily achieving a good existence after life. It's never been about belief or dogma, but rather about action. Jesus' way was, and always has been, about self-relating well with others, all parts being equal, all primarily striving to achieve a good existence for all in this life, for everyone. And that includes inside and outside the church. And afterlife benefits come from how successful we do all that, how we relate to the whole world with love. It's not supposed to be about just self-gain and glory beyond. It's about belonging and participating in animating the body of Christ on earth for everyone, now and forever. And that animation is done unified as one. And that is why Paul wrote, if one member suffers, all suffer together with it. If one member is honored, all rejoice together with it. And Paul notes we all have differing gifts that we bring as a part of the body. We do not all do the same things. We are not to all be eyes or ears, or together one giant eye or one ear, or collab, only the eyes and the ears. Paul sums this point up at the end of the reading. Now you are the body of Christ and individually members of it. And God has appointed in the church first apostles, second prophets, third teachers, then deeds of power, then gifts of healing, forms of assistance, form of leadership, various kinds of tongues. Are all apostles, he asks? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? Do all work miracles? Do all possess gifts of healing? Do all speak in tongues? Do all interpret? But strive for the greater gifts, and I will show you a still more excellent way. And the very next thing that Paul writes after this ending in chapter 12 expresses the most excellent way. It's probably Paul's most famous, certainly his most cherished text, 1 Corinthians 13. The love chapter. When church members strive for greater gifts together, Paul's next point is that we end up together at love. Love is the most excellent way Paul is referring to. And sure enough, Paul starts chapter 13 as a natural segue from our reading today, pointing out that the gifts we bring mean nothing, if we do not have love. The most excellent way is love, and if we are not on that way, no gift matters. 1 Corinthians 13, 1-3. If I speak in the tongues of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions, and if I hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. You see, in the body of Christ, love is what we must do as a single member and together with all the members to animate the body of Christ. And Paul tells us exactly what that animation, what that love looks like. In chapter 13, he goes on to write, love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. That describes the body of Christ in action. Done right, the biblical way to do church that Paul outlines is to be members striving together as equals for greater gifts in order to find together the still more excellent way. Love and equality is how we animate our part in the body of Christ to make the whole body work. May we do our part.